being joined in the studio by Professor Ali Osiju Mendania, an expert in criminal justice and penology. By the way, penology is the study of punishment and crime and prison management. I welcome you, Prof, to the studio.
Thank you, Shegun.
Yeah. On his left is a regular face on our station. He is the Force Public Relations Officer, Chief Superintendent of Police, Jimoh Mashood. I welcome you to the program.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, Nigerians.
Yes. Prof, let me start with you. From research and from what you have been able to observe on farmers' herdsmen clashes in the country, what will you say have been fueling the clashes, and what are the losses in terms of human, in terms of the economy?
Thank you very much. I think if we do justice to this topic and we look at our statistic, DFID funded a research, and I think between 2013 to 2016, and I think what they found out, the loss, I think Nigeria is losing almost $14 billion as a result of this clash. Then if you look at the states that is being affected by these clashes, I think the revenue, that is the internally generated revenue, that's about 47%. Then if you come to, if they suggested, if this crisis will be addressed, you have 64% of income to the people around that area. So if we look at it economically, and people think very well, and we'll see, really we need to address this issue. We need to come together and address the issue. It's not an era or issue that will be shifting blames. I don't think if we are going to do that, we are not going to succeed. A research carried out again, I think, on people that solidly or primarily depends on livestock. More than 12 million people depends on livestock within West African sub-region. Then you have 70% that have livestock-related enterprises. So if you have all these kind of things, what do? I'm happy the federal government talk about colony. If you look at it, it's a model from Karachi. It was established 1958, that cattle colony. And it started with just 15,000 cattle in that very environment. Now it has expanded to 6.5 square kilometers in that area, with more than 400,000 cattle around that area. Experts say this is an environmental conflict. That is the issue of land, the issue of water, the issue of access. So the Karachi tried to now curtail or try to provide solution to the problems. The problem in Nigeria, I think, we are like the kind of people the Bible is describing as well as the Quran. The Bible is saying, Matthew 13:13, seeing they see not, hearing they had not, neither do they understand. The Quran says, they are deaf and dumb, they are not seeing the path. The issue always, when there is a crisis, when there is a problem, we try to either generalize the crime or to look at a particular set of individuals or community and rob the crime of few individuals on them. If you look at it, in Nigeria, there is no crime by religious or ethnic affinity. Even the Bible says something in the book of Ezekiel, that the iniquity of the father shall not be visited unto the son, neither the iniquity of the son shall be visited unto the father. So if somebody committed crime, we isolate his tribe from the crime. We now look at the individual that committed such crime and punish him in accordance with our laws. By the time you now bring in and generalize, you might not get the issue, because even the Fulanis, they are subdivided, or they are being categorized. They are domestic and the nomadic. The domestic, some of them even, they are holding public offices. They are not that part of nomadic. Once you generalize, they will try to support or defend their own people. But if you now isolate, the way we did in the case of kidnappers, the way we did when Evans was arrested, nobody just bring his own tribe. He's the Evans. So when we do that, the same thing happened in the Northeast when Boko Haram started. Let's take us to that area. Before, Nigerians were now calling on people around that Northeast to do something, come up, face this Boko Haram. Later, they realized the people around or living in Northeast, they are the victims. So we now change the narrative, or we now change the focus to Boko Haram itself. That is why we have the civilian JTF facing the Boko Haram in that area. Yeah. So I think we should have solution. Solution must be something the whole northern governors must come together.
Okay, Prof, I will come back to the issue of solution. Please let's allow CSP. From some of the work that the police have done on this crisis since it started close to 10 years ago now, what do the police know as some of the causative factors? Because if we don't know where we are coming from, there is no way we can know where we are heading.
Thank you so much. I think the problem between farmer and herders date back to even pre-independence in the country, because there's no doubt that these are people living in the same community. Virtually, most of them know each other from young age. Some of them were born in the same community. They trade together and do a lot of things in common. But it is the way it is being handled. In the yesteryear, you see resolution being found by the leadership of these two groups, where there's infiltration into the farmland. You see people coming around to talk about the issue of compensation being paid, and those matters are resolved. When it gets to the level of the police, we commence investigation to those reports. I think on both sides, on both divide, the herders and the farmer, there have been issue of criminal activities from the herders and equally from the farmers. But there's no any justification for taking somebody's life, because if somebody has committed an offense, you report such a person to the police and the police will take appropriate action. But from investigation that we have carried out, it is not limited to anybody can be herder. Like the person rightly said, you don't give a crime tribal, religious, or soul coloration. A criminal is a criminal, no matter where the person comes from. But across Nigeria, you discover that it's not only in the north that you have conflict between farmer and herders. Equally in the south, and equally in the southwest, you still have these are people like Nomadiki said move around the country. During the dry season, you see them coming down south. Then during the wet season, you see them moving back up north. So, but it is important for this for people to know, Nigerians to know, that we need to live in peace and we need to be our brother's keeper. But we should watch out for early warning signal, because where, an instance of example, if an animal strange to your farm, you take claws into your hand and slaughter such an animal and share the meat between yourself, which is the case in some cases, probably in the mostly in the southern part of the country. And those who are the herders will definitely mobilize and come and hassle the animal, and conflict can ensue. So the Inspector General of Police have directed that all Commissioner of Police and their supervising Assistant Inspector General of Police should convey a stakeholder meeting between these two groups to ensure that there's peace, because food security is equally an important thing, and without food security, people can go into crime, and that would tend to change the pendulum to give us much more work to do. But when people are secure in their farm and when they rear their animal, it helps us better. And I wouldn't say there's a limitation, because you know the space, like when you have a developed area, if you have crisis in developed area, there's developed infrastructure to be able to deal with such criminal activities. But when you have it in the forest, there's no doubt that there's nowhere in this country today that you can go and capture and say this belongs to me. Somebody must show up that this forest belongs to us. So if this is established, then it beholds on individuals and groups and even community to ensure that this area of the forest that belongs to you, that's traditionally your family or belong to your village, is properly policed and you know what goes on in there. Then I equally want to say that last year, around May, we foresee this before time, and the Inspector General of Police directed the security conference to be convened. The Office of the IGP, the Traditional Ruler Council of Nigeria, and the leadership municipal group.
If the police know about this last year, does it mean intelligence failed? No.
What I'm trying to say is that we foresee issue of clashes between herdsmen and farmer, and to nip it in the bud is to call everybody together. It's not that we foresee that there's going to be possibility of attack in Benue or in Adamawa. This issue of clashes between them has been going on for a year. That's what I mean, and that is why the Inspector General of Police convened this meeting. The governor of Benue were there, some other notable governors too were there. The traditional ruler, virtually all of them turned out, and people provided solutions solution, which we equally, the outcome of the summit was forwarded to government across board for implementation.
Again, people have come, I mean, I've been saying that, okay, the police is reactive, not being proactive. It is when the clashes might have come and gone, the attackers must have left, that is when we now deploy. What actually, what about intelligence? Why are we not knowing about this even before they happen so that we can nip it in the bud?
Thank you so much. There's not any failure of intelligence in this regard, because when you look at the way we carry out our responsibility under the law, nothing is an offense except what is stated in the law to be an offense. And the law stating the offense will equally state the procedure for which such an offender should be dealt with. Even in the legal massing, they said even the devil doesn't know what goes on in the intention of man. If two people sleep together in the same room, you can't have any intelligence that the man there is going to kill the other man before daybreak. And the space where this happened is deep in the forest, mostly in the farmland, and that's why the issue of working with the community become paramount to be able, because intelligence is information that is protected. That is what we call intelligence, and intelligence are better gathered by the locals most of the time, and that is why the Inspector General of Police, when he came on board with eminent persons forum, which is the crops of traditional rulers, the senior military officer, police officer, retired, and equally even to the assistant and the farmer, and all of them came on board and bite into it. So we have enough intelligence to work on for those crises that we have equally prevented. Okay. Because if you look at the one that has happened, many others, thousands others have been prevented from happening. So now, why you now, like in the recent incident, we have 8 suspects. It has not been like that in the past. Okay. Where you have suspects directly arrested at the scene of crime for burning and killing people, and that's to let you know that we move things swiftly.
I'd like to stop you, CSP there. Now, before I left you, Prof, you were talking about the solutions, because at this level now, we should be looking ahead to how do we get out of this problem before another life is lost.
I think,
but you will answer that after this break. The program is Nigeria Today. We are taking a look at the herdsmen farmers clashes in the country. We will take a short break now. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. Nigeria Today continues with discussion on herdsmen and farmers clashes in the country. Now, Prof, before we went on that very short break, we were talking about the solution to this problem.
Before that, I think let me just make mention of something. You know, in these Fulanis or the herdsmen, there are some Fulanis that are identified as criminals. They are even, let's say, the Fulani, the herdsmen are victims to those kind of Fulani. In cattle rustling, it has been reported all over the media. So by the time you isolate these Fulanis or these criminals, then the herdsmen, when you have the issue of farmers and the herdsmen, is something that the whole northern region first, they have to look at the issue together, have a summit on these farmers herdsmen clashing. We look at the laws, Land Use Act too, with our legislatures, with each and every person that is a stakeholder. Then review whatever laws we have to review. You look at even the Police Act. You look at it, I think it was reviewed, 1968. There are some lapses. And, exactly. Then we look at it to see, yes, we have to review everything. Then the solution would be, if you have, maybe you are trying to enact a law to prevent things from happening or for good governance, I think each and every person, stakeholder, must be carried along. You do your researches. Maybe when you do research, you look at the people that are going to be affected by that law. Is it now acceptable? You look at the states that are close to your neighboring states. Are they going to domesticate similar laws so that, exactly. So I think this thing, we have to go back to drawing board and create awareness, because what is happening now, it has been politicized. The issue of ethno-religious sentiment has come in. So we have to now think how to now sensitize people. If you go, there is no problem between Fulani and the Kidman. Go to Yahuza Suya in Abuja here. You see even the thief man is buying Suya. And this comes from the Fulani. If you go to Usia Market, you see people going about their businesses without any problem. So the issue of politicization has been the problem. So we have to come back, because 2019 is around the corner. You have to tell your people what you want to do. Sometimes the people that are going to take action, they are handicapped. Then there is issue of most criminals or most convicts, or let me say the issue of murder cases. I think statistically we have almost 900 and something people that are convicted for murder. Up till now, governors refuse to sign warrants. Yes, exactly. Okay. So there are a lot of problems. When people look at it, oh, I can kill and nothing will happen. I can go to prison. Another person can come and give me maybe amnesty or can pardon me. Then so be it. Okay. Let me just join. Okay.
Now, the president directed that the IGP should move to Benue State. What is the implication of this? What will it bring to bear on curtailing herdsmen farmers clash? I want you to also take on board this popular notion that, okay, why is government deploying the police? Why not the military? I put it to you, CSP.
Thank you so much. I'll start from the last point. In internal security, the police is the lead agency. And I want everybody listening to us to know that the police force is the final habitat in internal conflicts. There's no doubt about that. People who are calling for the deployment of this have their personal or reason why they are doing such, which we know is not in the best interest of the situation we have at hand, because the situation is not beyond us. And like yesterday, we lost 2 of our personnel. We are trying to protect some villages in Logo, and we are investigating this, and we are closing in on the perpetrator. So I equally want to say that this is not beyond us once again. Then the IGP is going there to bring new impetus, because that's the directive of the Commander-in-Chief and President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and which he has complied with. The IGP is already in Benue, and he has started meeting with people, because that's the first point of call, stakeholder meeting. Is getting people together to let them know the reason why they should live in peace, while those already deployed to ensure aerial surveillance patrol are carrying out their duty, those on foot patrol are carrying out their duty, those equally carrying out investigation and gathering intelligence on what has happened, because he has vowed that the perpetrator of this will be brought to book, to justice, to ensure justice is done at the end of the day. So this will have a new it's going to be a trust to ensure that this crisis is raking on time.
Prof mentioned the issue of somebody committing crime with the notion that nothing is going to happen, and that brings us to the issue of prosecution, diligent prosecution. To what extent have people that committed this kind of offense in the past, to what extent have they faced justice?
I thank you so much. I think it's important we look back, like last year, for example, and see what are the situation we have at our hand. As of last year, we have issue at in Ife, where the settlers and the indigenous have problems, and people who are being killed, and machete pursued and killed, and a lot of people are arrested and they are prosecuted. But there's a question mark, because those are state offenses, and where the state interest lies mostly, defeat the end of justice most of the time. And it is important for this the chief executive of state to know that you don't put anything in place to perfect the end of justice, because like the Prof has rightly said, people whipping tribal sentiment, religious sentiment, and water down the offenses that have been committed. The state executive should know that when you are in charge of a state, you are not only for the indigenous of that state, you are for everybody that reside in such a state. And there's the need for you to ensure that law abiding by your citizens is very, very important. And you don't allow impunity to happen.
When we started this program, you mentioned the issue of Karachi colony. And it's like that's exactly what the Federal Minister of Agriculture is trying to do. Do you see that from your research work having the desired effect? Is that not begging the issue?
Actually, if we look at that model, this is what we need in the 21st century, so that the hazard these Fulani herdsmen are facing, there is hazard of mosquito biting their children, malaria, snake bites, and a lot of hazard. So if you have them, you now have the Karachi model, definitely is going to address the issue. But you have to now research on the issue of the land where you're going to give to them. Then you have to work on their mentality. These are people that for centuries, since 14th to 13th century, these people have been going from one place to the other. How do you now try to settle these people in one place? It's not just one day you come and say, oh, stop moving from this place. You start doing that. Then now, in the modern pastoralist this thing, you have chiefs being embedded into the animals, where you now monitor where they go, what happened, and even the issue of rustling, you can arrest it through this kind of modern technology.
Okay. Now, the affected communities, the people there are traumatized. Now they are going to see heavy presence of policemen in their communities. What will the police be telling them, both in terms of assuring them that all is well, and again that those who did this to you will not go unpunished? What will the police be telling the communities now?
Thank you so much. I think we have laid foundation for that. 8 people are already being prosecuted, and these people arrested in the act that I mentioned earlier on. But the Inspector General of Police are equally directed that Commissioner of Police should engage in what we call confidence building patrol. Visit the people. We know it is traumatic. It's an unfortunate incident. When you have such a crisis in your hand, you wish it can be reversed, but possibly not going to be possible. And there's a need. People must have run etasketa, leave their home and abroad, and there's no how if you're an IDP somewhere, there's no other place can be so convenient more than where you come from and where you live. So a lot of confidence building patrol will be going on, and then community engagement and stakeholder forum will equally be done to sort of bring the mind of the people down and know that the fear of crime is erased, and continue to assure them.
Now, Prof, because of our time, maybe you need to advise the police and the people of affected communities. If you have the ears of the IGP, of the police command, we have one here, what will you tell the police to do at this material time, both to the communities that are affected and the larger society?
It's community policing, I think, is the solution. It's the solution to this problem, where the community will be carried along and the duty of the citizen should be applied. What is the duty of the citizen? In helping the low maintenance officers to carry out their jobs, expose people, give intelligence to, even if that person happens to be part of you, because there are so many reports. There are some indigenous criminals too perpetrating crime in the name of another tribe. So all these things should be unveiled. So as a citizen of that state, you now try to come close to the law enforcement agents, give them information. The police should now try to get that information. The informant privacy should be respected too.
Okay. Now, on that very optimistic note, the police have promised that those who perpetrated that heinous act will be brought to justice, and that the community must provide assistance to the police to ensure that the work of law enforcement officers are made easy. I must thank you, CSP Jimo, the first public relations officer, for coming on the program this evening.
Thank you for having me.
And Prof. Ali Usuji Mendana, I equally thank you for all that you've said on the program.
Thank you, very best. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Until we come your way tomorrow, same time. This is me, Segun Jelade. On behalf of my producer and every one of us in the studio, do have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.